Good evening, good night. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are for the conclusion of our North American Open bracket here in pre-relegations phase 1, I guess is what we're going to call it. I'm Tom, that's still Anatoly. And as we get into our finals, we have come down to the bracket. It is 2 teams in memory of Gabe versus Town USA. Now, I think in memory of Gabe, a lot of people might have expected the roster consisting of a lot of familiar faces. You've got Snoopy, Eonic, Hurriwind, Whalrus, and the SCL sensation Cynosure. But when you look at Town USA, you're looking at Sops, Balentine, Viper, Mexiety, and Copebby. I think that's certainly a little bit more of a surprise for some people.
Definitely a different mix of players. You know, more tenured players on one side, more players on the other, trying to still prove themselves, trying to get their way into the SPL for Season 4. We've seen a lot of consistency from a lot of these players and a little bit of inconsistency in others earlier on in this day.
Absolutely. I think that there are some of the teams that might have been perhaps more qualified than Town USA. But when it comes down to it, the beauty of open bracket is that literally anything can happen. And a lot of times you'll see in those single game scenarios, or even later on in the best of threes, as we look forward to the semifinals and of course the finals, that some of these teams work on by whether it's due to pure strategy or mechanical skill.
We saw the earlier game, Everyday Gains versus In Honor of Gabe. There were so much plays being happened in that 60-minute game. It was so unfortunate that round of 8 game was only a best of 1. And we couldn't really see how either of those teams adjusted to games 2 or 3. But heading into this best of 3 for picks and bans, we'll see what strategies they're going to like to go for.
Exactly. We know what gods that Eonic and everybody likes on the side of memory of Gabe. Town USA, I expect we're going to see an Erlang Shen in the solo lane. That's kind of what Cope does all the time.
I wouldn't take that bet against you, honestly. He's been running it the whole day, you know, mostly to success, I would say. But to be fair, Erlang Shen is a very easy and safe god to be aggressive with. It's very difficult to really punish him in the 1v1 role. You will have to kind of find the ganks by the jungler instead.
I think my chair has fallen as we've spoken. I'm gonna sit. There we go. There we go. New perspective on life, ladies and gentlemen. I'm a little bit taller, a little bit higher, and Nike and Ratatasker are a little bit lower. They're not going to be picked today. Ra will not either, as Town bans him out. We'll see as the last ban comes through. Town does have one more shot. And again, Jingwei will be banned. But again, something to note, in memory of Gabe, continues to ban the Nike. Usually teams will elect to grab this character if they do have the first pick. But we see memory of Gabe completely, or consistently rather, go to the Nike ban.
It seems that they're more comfortable with other strategies, that they would rather just not even bother with the Nike. They're very comfortable with this Janus, with the Ratatasker. They're going to pick up the Sylvanus or first pick since they banned away the Ratatasker. Surprisingly enough, they elected to just kind of wait to see what their mid lane pick is going to be. They didn't elect to take away their Erlang Shen from Cope, which is surprising considering how consistent he's been picking that up.
Right, there it is. It's going to be the Erlang Shen, and given that this is a best of 3 scenario, I do imagine that memory of Gabe will adjust, and if Erlang Shen wins game number 1, I do expect it to either be banned or selected. The Sylvanus number 1 pick is Zeus picked next to Erlang Shen for Town USA. Sylvanus number 1. Where did this guy? We mentioned it before. We touched on it. I want you to go deeper. He showed up at Worlds, and before that he was MIA. Now he's a first pick.
Well, Super Regionals as well. During the Eager Source set, it was picked, and this is just a great defensive god. If you don't like Khepri or Geb for whatever reason, this is a go-to pick. You have enough crowd control space in the jungle side to really make it difficult for anybody to dive, including Cope on the Erlang Shen.
So we'll see how that one works out in tow. Hurriwind on the Janus. This is the character that quite literally won the quarterfinal match, allowing memory of Gabe to get past Everyday Gains. Janus and Hurriwind really made an impact with those ultimates, and Freya will be a strong choice for Snoopy in the duo lane. Soul is going to be taken by Town USA.
Fighting fire with fire. You know, one magical hunter versus another in that duo lane. We're going to see the matchup between Snoopy and Sops. What's going to happen? Normally, Souls get the better end of the Freyas because of the Stellar Burst, being able to easily, effectively clear the wave. But knowing Snoopy, he's not just going to let that slide through. I'm expecting more pressure from Eonic to just allow Snoopy the comfortability he needs to get to that mid game.
Flat out, do you like Soul?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
I
don't mind it.
I feel like Soul can be medium to low impact depending on how the rest of the game goes.
I actually ran Soul a couple times in ranked against the Warrior meta back in early to mid Season 3, and it was very effective against a lot of Warriors as well.
So that's in the solo lane, correct?
Yes. I'm
talking about in the Hunter role. I feel like Soul brings heavy power damage, which hunters do, and poke, which certain hunters can do as well. Outside of the hands of somebody like Barracuda, who can absolutely wreck with it, a lot of times I feel kind of underwhelmed by Soul.
It's also the mobility that you get with the Disapparate. You're very mobile, defensively, offensively. You could chase down kills or get away from danger. You have enough time to get into that ball of invulnerability to get under your own tower until your teammates can even make that rotation.
So with the Soul selection, what specifically is Town, like what is the strategy behind the Soul selection?
So Soul will outclear Freya in the 1v1. If there's a lot of action with supports rotating to that Soul lane, effectively, Sops should be able to push the minions constantly under Snoopy's tower, which will deny him some gold, and that could potentially find an item or two power spike play where Town could potentially force a team fight.
So it's about
that one item.
So it's about lane clear.
It should be about the laning clear phase, as well as just being able to also out-rotate the Freya.
All right, so we'll see how Soul works out in that regard. Thor will be the jungler for Town USA, and then Awilix will be the choice for Cynosure, as he continues his switch from the console world over to PC rather successfully. Tyr will likely wind up in the solo lane. Town USA have one final pick. He'll probably be their support player, unless Erlang Shen does something funny.
More than likely should be the support. It is going to be indeed the Ymir. Ymir versus Tyr wouldn't be a bad matchup in the Soul lane either, depending on how Cope is feeling confident with his Ymir play. But considering he's been playing Erlang Shen the whole day, I don't expect anything to really change in that department. I'm expecting more Balentine to stick with this Ymir.
Exactly. To be honest with you, we have actually seen the Erlang Shen. We have actually seen Cope play Ymir over there in the solo lane. But as you said before, Cope has been playing Erlang Shen all day. Balentine has played this Ymir frequently throughout the course of the day as well. So this is, especially in a long tournament like this, you tend to want to stick to some of your similar choices so that you stay in the groove, if you will.
Especially the way he's been playing the Ymir with Mexiety's jungle. Now, they normally stick hand in hand together. We see the Talaria boots onto Mexiety. More than likely, Balentine was considering holding off on his purchases. He bought boots 1 and a ward just to be able to see what's going on. And then he elected to go for the Watcher's Gift after dropping the ward and then picking up the potions just for the laning phase. He's not going to opt to go for the Traveler Shoes right off the bat quite yet.
And why is that?
So he wants to stay in laning phase, it seems to me. He wants to be able to make sure that Sops is going to get the better end of Snoopy in the early phase.
Yeah, it's interesting, though, because by itself, Soul, the God selection is so that she doesn't need help in lane. So it is kind of curious to me that Balentine is looking to stick around a little bit more.
It doesn't hurt to escalate that even further, honestly. As well as you always have to take into consideration that maybe Eonic is going to be able to sit in that laning phase, which will definitely make it more troublesome.
And that's really where that's where you hit the nail on the head. That's what I was looking for. Eonic on the Sylvanus has those AoE basic attacks, and that's going to be a big part of the push for Freya. Freya she's not known for pushing the wave. She's actually pretty bad at it, but believe it or not, once you get a couple of points, Mexiety getting low starting at these mid-harpies. Once you get a couple of points in that pulse, your wave clear does become a little bit decent. You got to get 3 points or so before you can actually start talking about it. But Eonic is going to be a big part of this clear later on once he joins Freya in lane.
These openings are very interesting because now Town USA kind of denied themselves some gold by allowing the mid wave to enter the tower. But the left-hand side, Snoopy also starting the boars, got the whole wave under that tower. So that's a lot of gold being denied for him already.
Yeah, both ways is a bad situation. Soul is going to hit level 3, so there's already a lead for Town USA's duo lane. Whalrus feeling himself just a little bit, taunting the enemies over there on the right side of the map.
And this is what we're talking about right here. The Gladiator minion showing what it can do when Sops is able to out-clear Snoopy. He's going to take a little bit of poke here, going to have to probably use a health potion sooner rather than he would want it to. He doesn't want to take too much poke from those archers.
Yeah, that's the big thing when it comes to Soul is avoiding that stellar burst. You got to be careful of the fact that she can clear the wave and poke you out at the same time. And it's sort of like old school Artemis to the insta-greet.
great jukes coming out of sops. They're also not preventing Snoopy from getting any sort of poke out in return. And now Cope not really able to bully the same way he's been able to in the previous games already. Whalrus hitting level 4. He has the matchup pretty controlled thus far. Neither soul laners opting to go for the Wrath, instead playing it very safe, going for teleport, making sure that if they were to get ganked, that they can get back into the laning phase.
You know, I said this earlier, Tully, is that Whalrus is definitely my player to watch for 2017. I think that he was off to a decent start come yesteryear, but a little trouble. Eonic, I don't think it's going to be a big deal. Mexiety, on the other hand, had he not found that hammer, certainly would have been in trouble. Nice little portal coming out of Hurriwind. Viper's got one more shot, but he'll be able to walk it off.
That was a really delayed purification coming out of Viper. You either use it there or you don't at all.
Yeah.
As soon as the portal comes through, you recognize that you're about to go through. If you don't do it right away, by the time you go down, you're going to take all that damage from Unstable Vortex and everything else on top.
So yeah, going back to Whalrus' performance here as we see him wreck Cope for the first blood. Whalrus again getting the first blood for in memory of Gabe. This is the guy to watch this year. On a bad team last year, had some good performances.
Sops might be in trouble.
And I think this is his breakout season.
Ooh, Snoopy elected not to use that ultimate for the 1v1, but in mid lane, however, Viper using that ultimate defensively. Awilix not level 5 yet, not going to be able to find the pull.
Knockup was strong, but no follow-up, but as you noted, you know, no ultimate to really get the pull. Cynosure in a little bit of trouble. He's very deep, but finds his way out. Sops is in trouble here. The ultimate is down, but he's able to wiggle his way out before the pulse radiate. There's the ult, but the Sanctuary is strong.
The jukes! Oh, the jukes are real, but not able to find him. Mexiety, he wants the rotation. He just needs one Berserker Barrage. The whoop, not enough mana to find it, or the cooldown was not available for him. So trading at least 1 for 1.
Just a little bit too long in that engagement. You noted before that Snoopy didn't use the ultimate. Had he actually gone for the kill right away, we don't see him die to that jungler.
And it made sense as to why he delayed the ultimate a little bit, because he recognized the fact that Sops did go for that early Sanctuary.
Right.
Normally you want to go for the Purification, but in the 1v1 matchup, it's very important to deny Freya the damage coming out of that Valkyrie's discretion.
Cynosure is 5 now, so we will see the knockups be taken advantage of this time around. That's another reason why we see the Sylvanus in this composition, to help out a little bit of what Cynosure wants to do. Whalrus getting aggressive. Walks into the enemy jungle, takes the blue, walks away. He's actually going to get punished for this a little bit. Mexiety finds the ultimate, the stun. Big commitment onto Whalrus here. He should have the heal up in a moment, but the rotation from the mid lane proves that it's not up soon enough.
Oh my god,
Hurriwind.
Why you do this?
All right, I'm telling you right now.
You gotta ban Janus away from this guy. He's just a monster. He's just casually throwing these ultimates through space and time, finding the kills. No big deal.
I'm telling Hurriwind right now, after tonight, go buy a lotto ticket. He's been able to hit these ultimates far too often. There's the Eonic interaction that we were talking about. Cynosure avoids the freeze, gets out of the ultimate, and takes care of Balentine with a couple of extra basics. Hops on the Suku, takes the damage, but he should be fine.
It's only a level 6 Zeus. The boots have not been finished for him, and that's why we see Cynosure getting out of danger. That should have been a trade 1 for 1. Now, surprisingly enough, Balentine did die during that encounter, utilizing the shell, still not enough to save his life. But, like we mentioned before, supports are so easy to pick off when they're still in this early game.
And Ymir is notorious for being easy to pick off. Low mobility. If you avoid his initial kit, he doesn't really have much to do after that. The freeze, so the freeze comes out like a cone, and you actually saw Cynosure really abuse this. If you walk right next to Ymir, you can easily avoid that freeze breath. It comes out of the cone, Cynosure walks directly at the target, avoids the freeze breath, and then walks out of the Zeus ultimate. Fantastic play right there to really understand the mechanics behind how the Ymir is played.
Absolutely.
Well done.
The closer you are, the more difficult it is to hit that freeze. So Balentine not able to confirm it under the Zeus ultimate, which would have probably got off an additional 2 or 3 ticks from it.
Probably a dead jungler.
More than likely, or at least force out the purification earlier rather than later, and then the rotation from Cope could have maybe saved Balentine's life. There's a lot of little factors that goes into hitting or missing one ability.
Nice little grab coming out from the support right there. That time the purification not going to be delayed. Viper gets out of trouble very, very importantly there. That one, no question about it, was going to be a dead mid-mage. Balentine again, this time much quicker. than the last. Eonic gets credit for it. Down comes Mexiety, finds another wall. This time he's looking for the mid laner, and there's no wall. Janus can't portal his way out of that one. Mexiety gets credit while Snoopy makes the rotation and takes down Viper.
Sops not able to keep up with the Freya, surprisingly, but a nice move. Snoopy trying to find Cope. The ultimate comes through. The Fearless, he doesn't find the heal in time, but Sops not doing too much danger here. Eonic does fall to Mexiety though, so at least it's a 1-for-1, but losing your solo for support is not something that Town really wants to happen for them here.
Absolutely not. I mean, Eonic right here, his, you know, the levels for Eonic are much less impactful than the levels for Cope on that Erlang Shen. You're gonna have Sylvanus do what Sylvanus does in the early game, regardless of what level he is. Later, you're gonna start talking about the scaling of the wisps and everything. But early game, all you want is to pull a root and knock up.
And when you die as a solo laner, that already you died to the 1v1. Now you're gonna lose even more farm, separating that gap. We see a 2-level disparity between Whalrus and Cope as a result.
So right now, early on in this match, 7-4. As In Memory of Gabe have a very slight lead, about 1,000 give or take. So nothing really to brag about, but something to hang your hat on.
Well, the 1,000 gold lead here coming out of Memory of Gabe is actually all on Whalrus. 5,000 net worth for him, whereas Cope sitting at 4,100. That's going to allow the tier to finish the Breastplate of Valor first, get those cooldowns, and then be even more obnoxious in the laning phase.
And you know what? As much as I've been celebrating Whalrus, I actually think this is a case of the in-betweenies, where Whalrus is doing pretty well. We saw him get the first blood, but also Cope is not having his best day either. 2 deaths already this early in the game, so I think it's a little column A, column B if Whalrus is super far ahead because he's great or
Eonic,
whatnot.
though, a little bit out of position. Mexiety landing on top of him. The sustain coming through the wisps. It might keep him alive for a little bit. The hammer connects on the double tap, and with Cope there to confirm the kill, finally, the tree falls again.
Yeah, you know, that was a little bit rough. You know, Eonic out of position. The rest of the team was right next to him. He got picked, and nobody helped.
What happened there was Eonic got a little bit close to the tower, trying to use his ultimate to knock up Balentine, but Balentine played it perfectly because he expected that to happen. He used his own ultimate just for the CC immunity, not allowing Cynosure to confirm the pull.
Whalrus has the lead, as we were talking about. He's going to utilize that lead to put pressure in the jungle. Flip forward, fearless, power cleave, done, son.
Snoopy just got soloed
down. And Sops takes out Snoopy by himself in the left side.
And that's what we were talking about before. Soul has the slight advantage playing with the minions. We saw Snoopy able to solo Sops, but this time around, Sops got the better end of it. And not only that, he's going to be able to push a wave under that tower and get a lot of damage confirmed.
Yeah, I mean, 9 minutes in, this tower could possibly be down before Snoopy comes back. Not with this wave, but we'll see how this one works out.
Somebody has to come in the next 15 seconds or this tower will fall. But Sops playing it very safe. He already got the wave before. He went a little bit past the tier 1 tower, cleared it with a Stellar Burst, got the poke he needed to, and backed off. Had he stayed, though, that would have been a free tower. We see the rotation, but, you know, he doesn't have the vision that we do.
Well, to be fair, I think if he doesn't back there.
Oh, the root cripple. Almost. But it's going to force him to back.
If he doesn't back there, I think we see the continued rotation, and he actually gets rotated on and then dies. But absolutely, I mean, that right there, that is the reason you pick Soul, as I was asking you in the picks and bans. It's the incredible tower kill proficiency. Even other hunters don't have that type of push this early on.
And Sops really likes this build, going for the Pythax, the cooldown boots, into more than likely going to be the Telekines ring that we've been seeing out of him before, trying to get more damage confirmed on these towers.
The CDR boots is still a little strange to me. I understand going back, and I only have, you know, I don't have the extra 50, so I'm just going to go with the CDR. But this time it looks a little intentional.
It synergizes more with Pythax Beast as well, getting an extra CDR. So you're having that extra disapparates, extra stellar bursts.
Sure.
You're also going to be able to maybe force out the Freya ultimate with your own ultimate, and by you having the CDR, you can get off the round 2 fight in your advantage.
Well, here comes Snoopy one more time, wants to take the fight to Sops.
Great jukes. He juked out 2 of those pulse irradiate combinations, which is why he's so healthy right now. Had those connected and confirmed, he would have been sitting at 50% health at least.
Yeah, it's a much different story when you're playing the Freya. You need all of those basics to land pretty much versus some hunters or other hunters where you can just sort of miss a couple here and there. Another invade coming out from Memory of Gabe. Red buff stolen. Belongs to Hurriwind now.
Nice little portal. making sure that there's no freeze to be had. Still in the solo lane, Cope struggling 2 levels behind Whalrus at this point in time. Breastplate of Valor has been finished, now working on more than likely going to be the Winged Blade for the tier, unless he's feeling the Witchblade, trying to shut down some of the physical damage coming out of Town USA, but it's not too much really. It's only Erlang Shen and the Thor.
Yeah, and the Winged Blade here is absolutely the way to go. You have so many slows. You're going to get slowed by the Zeus, you're going to get slowed by the Ymir, you're going to get slowed by the Soul, and we'll see how the rest of it goes right there. Good feel is coming out, and Cope may be ready to take it right to Whalrus. No problems right there. He'll be able to heal that up, no problem.
This is the point in time when Erlang Shen gets a little bit more annoying than you really want to. The Mink gets higher level, higher attack speed, so he's going to get more confirmed hits, which also synergizes with Erlang Shen's passive.
And it winds up being surprising damage. I think a lot of times you see this, even at the pro level, you see a solo laner like take a couple of basic attacks from Erlang Shen, and then he takes 5 more and he's dead.
Wow, what a great escape there. Nice little knockup, but not confirming with the ultimate. Now it's a 2v1 against Cynosure backing off there. Lawbringer was used, the Blink was used just to get out of Mexiety's gank, but Viper taking a lot of damage. Hurriwind confirming the kill through space and time, allowing his team to get the positioning aggressively at that speed buff.
Just an incredible character here, Janus, and Hurriwind certainly doing it justice. Able to not only use that through space and time for the utility, but also find a number of kills.
Whether or not he gets the damage off or whether he finds his teammates there, everybody from Gabe is always looking for these picks. The Janus has been proved to be so impactful for Gabe.
So right now, you can see the teams are flooding into the left side. Gold Fury is on the minds of players. Balentine is the target. And in memory of Gabe, want this kill so bad as Snoopy gets it with the ultimate, because Balentine dead will open a little bit of a window. You have to look out for Viper's ultimate towards the Gold Fury, but other than that, Tully, I think they really want to look for the gold.
They're not done yet. They want to find even more picks if
Absolutely.
they potentially can. They have the sustain from Eonic Sylvanus constantly throwing out those wisps. They can always look for these little pickoffs. They have the portals. They have the routes into the pools. They can continue to siege these towers if they want to.
Ooh, Mexiety in trouble. Cynosure looking for it, but gets taken low down himself.
It's smart to use that hammer defensively, though, because had he used it offensively there, he wouldn't have had an escape from Hurriwind's unstable vortex. Even if, because it's a risk versus reward. Sure, you can maybe get the kill against Cynosure, but oh my god.
Was that an ultimate?
Yes. Look at the minimap. Through space and time used, finds the kill. Number 2 of the game. Probably like number 6 or 8, somewhere there, of the day.
So let's break it down. Real talk, because people love to have their opinions about this ability. Is that luck or is that skill?
There is no such thing as luck.
I agree. Luck is the intersection of preparation and hard work, right?
Opportunity.
Opportunity, there you go.
The opportunity was present. The preparation was made by Hurriwind. He threw it out there in the general direction. No luck.
So I sincerely believe that there's a large part of the skill component. You do have to predict where the player is and sort of where he's gonna walk, but to a certain extent, you're kind of just tossing it out there.
It could be a Hail Mary, but it's a very calculated Hail Mary at the same time.
Very well said. I'll agree with that one for sure. I am definitely more on the side of player skill on that than most people are. A lot of people don't give the Janus ultimates their due, calling it luck. And I think if you land 1 or 2, you can be like, all right, he got a little bit lucky. But with the consistency that Hurriwind has been bringing it out today, I don't think you can call that luck anymore.
No, not at all. We can see how comfortable he is with this god. Now, granted, he did have one sloppy play in the earlier set against Everyday Games when he just casually walked by and got picked off, but he's been making it up ever since then, you know, throwing out these ultimates, always in the right position in the late game now. This is something that he's going to have to take, though, and translate it to in the future, into the next week number 2 in the open bracket qualifiers, as well as the SPL if they qualify.
Whalrus comes back to lane. 1 level, his opponent's senior. Able to clear pretty easily.
Surprisingly, neither team electing to go for Gold Fury at any stage of the game. The Wrath has been available for Cope anytime he wants to. If he sees that the teleport is down from Whalrus for whatever reason, that could be a huge power play for Talon to get back into this game by making that rotation and looking for the quick clear.
Jungle Invade coming out from memory of Gabe one more time. Snoopy able to take the solo kill on the left side of the map, while the right side of the map is crazy. We're looking for a punishment from Town USA to memory of Gabe. We wanted to find the enemy's speed buff one more time. Not going to be the case. Nice little freeze on Whalrus. Finds the flip over the top. Waiting for the Berserker's Barrage to finish, but just whiffs the Fearless.
This is what I like to see out of Town USA. Put a little bit of pressure onto Hurriwind, making him use that ultimate defensively so he doesn't find any more kills. Now, unfortunately for Town, a solo kill happened on the left-hand side. Snoopy, 2 solo kills to his name in this game, whereas only Sops getting 1.
And there's Snoopy right there just doing work on the tower. There's a nice blink Fearless, but it's going to get chased out by the Purification. Viper drops his ultimate. Might be enough to kill the support, and it won't be. Eonic's going to exit stage right, heal up a little bit with those wisps, just barely kept alive.
And this is why we see Sylvanus being first picked out of Memory of Gabe. They know just how annoying it is to play against it. The sustain is just too strong. It has enough control to really prevent anybody from coming on you or the backline.
And that's going to help Eonic keep up. He only has 2 deaths so far, but he's able to really stay relevant in this one. He's a level ahead of his direct opposition, Mr. Balentine, on that Ymir.
Which is, look at the comparison between the itemization here. Going for the Mark of the Vanguard on this Ymir, recognizing there's some damage over time here with the Sylvanus Wisps, the ultimate as well.
Right.
So not opting to go right away for the Sovereignty, still trying to go for the MP5 first with the Hardwood Amulet.
And I love anytime somebody buys the Mark of the Vanguard to deal with dots.
Big plus.
That's my move.
Yep.
I love to see that. Dots Mark of the Vanguard will work fantastically against that, and minions specifically.
I like this play. I really do. Yes, because the fact that the teleport from Cope is still down for about 110 seconds, so you're delaying Whalrus from being able to make this rotation. On top of this, though, there's not much mana on the side of Whalrus, so he's going to struggle clearing out this next wave. The proxy's efficient, and now it could be a efficient rotation from Cope instead.
Gold Fury started by Memory of Gabe, but they'll have to back off as Town USA quickly show their face. Memory of Gabe want no part of that.
The 3-3 has just been in such favor of Gabe. Town USA not able to get the better end of that trade. They have to figure out a way to really take advantage of the aggression from Eonic. Now, the one time that they did was under that tier 1 tower when Balentine used his ulti defensively just to prevent the knock-up into the Whalrus ultimate. But it has to be more than just that. There has to be good vision control and maybe taking advantage of Snoopy being this aggressive. Look how far up he is.
This is exactly what we saw earlier in the day with a different team's Freya just sitting on the enemy tower. They did not get punished. Why are Freya's being allowed to just free farm and be aggressive?
Yet again, I said it earlier, I'll say it again, there's just too much action in the mid and solo lane in this current meta to just allow these hunters to get away with murder.
Right here. It's going to be trouble for Balentine, falling down to the wayside. Here comes the ultimate out of the jungler. Not going to get hit by the ultimate from Hurriwind, but Whalrus takes down Viper on the back. Mexiety hits the stun just for defensive purposes. Fearless, power cleave. That's 2 for the solo. Whalrus on a tear. Snoopy's looking to clean up Cope. Big rotation out of him, but it just proved fruitless. Nice knockups directly into Hurriwind, and there's the kill for the mid lane. Hurriwind finds himself with 5 in total. 17 for Memory of Gabe. They're up 4K, and with the Gold Fury, they're going to push it even further.
This is where the door is opening for Gabe. They find 4 kills with a great engage. The knock up through the red buff, pulling the Ymir back into danger, finding the easy pick off. The rotation from Whalrus was just key. You got Viper early on in the team fight. Look at this. Viper still having his ultimate as a result. Had that Zeus ultimate been in that team fight, it might have changed things around, but Whalrus making that key rotation, also being able to clean up Mexiety. And at the end of the day, finally, it took 20 minutes into the game until the first gold here was taken, and Memory of Gabe sitting with a comfortable 6,000 gold lead.
Town USA in that team fight looked like a chicken with its head cut off. There just was no clear plan. Balentine assumed he was dead from the minute the team fight started. He got aggressed on and just went, okay, I'll ult. He knew he was in trouble, just sort of tossed his cards on the table, and everybody else, this was my major problem with that team fight, no target selection. Everyone was in their own party, and that just cannot happen.
we saw Mexiety trying to zone Hurriwind away. He did force the ultimate really early in the team fight, which is always a big plus considering how efficient he's been with us, having to dissect it more towards the right side. But the problem was, the way he threw that ultimate actually allowed Whalrus to come a little bit closer to the team fight.
Cynosure is in trouble. He's going to be helped out by Wally, jumping over the wall with the backflip. And there's the Fearless into the power cleave combination, while Cynosure is safely under the tier 2.
It's, oh my god, Hurriwind. Always in the right position to find the kill. 6, 1, and 5. He's not done yet. He's going to use that ultimate just to be able to get a little bit of CC immunity, or rather purification, but the rest of the team is here. They're thinking about maybe just collapsing onto this tier 1 tower. They found the one pick. They're going to have Snoopy relax and continue the pressure on the left.
Fearless gets 2, looking for Viper, who drops the ultimate nowhere near himself. And Whalrus still looking for that Zeus underneath the tower. He's going to get the kill. Easy peasy. Beautiful control from the solo laner, who's on a tear. 5-1 and 4. Make that 6-1 and 4. The doubleune for Whalrus. He's not done yet. Swag flip gets the grab, and Cynosure gets involved as well. 3 for the young jungler.
Another 4 kills for Memory of Gabe. They're going to be able to steal away that tier 1 tower for free, get the tier 2 on top of this. Snoopy still playing aggressive left-hand side. He is level 20. He has the Fatalis and Pythax piece of his own. And before even making that rotation, we saw Cynosure just clean up that tier 1 mid tower real quick, and then just clean up that 3v3 on the right-hand side.
Absolutely nuts. Cynosure is so impressive here.
Look at that graph, honestly. After that 20-minute Gold Fury, it's just skyrocketing out of control.
I really want to put the microscope on this team in memory of Gabe. I like this team, and I hope that this team is not temporary. Snoopy and Eonic are as veteran as they come. They've been playing pretty much since it came out, and Eonic and Snoopy were on one of the first dynasty teams of Smite. I think when you look at dynasties in Smite, we actually look at your team as probably the first. Team Dignitas with Zapman. You guys were one of the first perennial teams that really ran things. Then you look towards Cloud9, you look towards Cog Red right here, and that's where Eonic and Snoopy come from. That's their alma mater. Hurriwind, he's sort of that middle of the pack. He doesn't really have anything to really hang his hat on as far as superlatives are concerned, but he's been around the block, and maybe this is his shot. Whalrus is the sophomore here. His rookie season did all right. As I said before, this is the guy to look at. And then Cynosure. He's flirted with pro play before, moved over to the console scene, played fantastically, one of the best junglers in the console scene, matured there separately, and now is here on this squad. Whalrus get a little ahead of himself here, taking on 4 players and doing it successfully.
Well, it doesn't matter past, present, or future. This team is here to stay. They've been playing like they've been playing together for about years as Snoopy finds an easy kill on some Viper. The Sanctuary was used earlier on, but it wasn't enough to really survive. And now, Whalrus, he's going in.
This is what he does. He's just looking for the initiation all the time. He's got a lead, and this is the only thing that offends me more than being over-aggressive is having a lead and not using it.
You have to just group up, honestly. You have this big of a lead. Group up as 5, get all the objectives. You got the tier 2 on right, you got the tier 2 middle. Now you're grouping up for the tier 2 on left-hand side. Even before the Fire Giant was taken, it doesn't even matter if the Ymir is used. You're outnumbered.
Whalrus has been level 20 for a while. He's supposed to go take 1-on-4 when everybody's level 16. If you're not doing that, you're wasting the lead. So this is why you see Whalrus just ult into every engagement. That's his job. He has the lead, and he's gonna use it.
You gotta give your backline the space control that they need to get these towers, get these objectives for free. You don't want your backline to be aggressed on, so what do? You go on their backline first.
So as I was saying before, dissecting the individuals on the team, Cynosure. A lot of the PC fans at home might not be familiar with him. As I said, he played a little bit in the Challenger Cup, but then made the switch over to the console league. How are you liking seeing Cynosure play on this stage?
Right now, I haven't seen too much highlight plays out of him. That's just because everybody in memory of Gabe have been playing lights out. He's been in the right position, though, to capitalize off of Eonic's ultimates. So I'm really liking him and his style that he provides to the team. It takes a little bit of confidence to be able to pull off Awilix in the SPL.
And one of the things that, that is a good look for Cynosure on this squad, if you're going to be making the transition from console to PC, which a lot of players are. Transonics, I know, is looking for a PC team team. He's one of the console natives. Clow was playing earlier on. We obviously saw Chapo make the transition over here into the open bracket. If you're going to make the transition onto a team coming from console, you want to be on a team like this. The spotlight's not on you.
Yep.
The spotlight's not on you. Everybody's looking at Snoopy. Everybody's looking at Hurriwind. Will he screw up again? Everybody's looking at Whalrus. Is he the real deal? Cynosure is the fourth conversation. And like you said, they have the veteran leadership and communication.
It's all about Eonic's early game calls, and then later on, once it gets to that point in time, Snoopy's going to start taking over making those calls. So Cynosure just has to listen to both of those two veteran players. They've been playing together for so long that all he has to do is his jungle job, rotate to the right spots, help out whoever needs to help the most.
Snoopy chases out the Thor wall, finds the double lip. Not going to really use it, just sort of look at it and say that was pretty. Here comes Hurry, taking down Mexiety from 100 to 40. He's still on the tear. But there it is. Good wall coming out from the Ymir.
Just out of range, unfortunately. But either way, he bullies out Mexiety to the point where they give so much space control that now they're collapsing under middle if they wanted to. They could have potentially looked for a kill onto Viper also.
I think right now, Memory of Gabe is looking more for the group up. As we said, you got to use your lead. They're up 15,000 gold.
They're committing to this.
They can take any fight they want.
They're committing to this. They use the Whalrus ultimate immediately just to get the attack speed. They don't really care about finding the pull. Mexiety's going to go into the air, and it might be in time.
It actually really might be. Lands down Zerka's barrage. Memory of Gabe does successfully secure the Fire Giant, although that was very testy. Snoopy takes to the sky looking for the big damage AoE, and the single target. Mexiety falls down. Soul dealing the damage. Cynosure gets one. Balentine falls to the wayside. Cynosure gets two as another one falls, and Whalrus takes down Viper. 4 down, 4.
That's
the
gonna
count.
Be a deicide.
Fearless, power cleave, stand switch, ultimate, and Copebby
gone.
Is back in the womb. Whalrus gets 2 kills. It's a deicide. 28 kills in total. In memory of Gabe, I remember it like it was yesterday because it's happening right now.
In memory of Town USA, as game number 1 is going to be in favor of Gabe here. They're going to take this first game in the best of 3. They want to be able to close it out. And what better way to do it in less than 30 minutes with such a score lead? They're trying to get that 100 points in week 1, putting themselves in a great spot heading into week number 2.
Absolutely. Right here in memory of Gabe looks fantastic. This is a team to absolutely watch out for.
It's actually almost disgusting how good this team is, for at least what they've shown us thus far in week number 1. Now, there's still a second game, potentially third, if Town USA can come back here. So the question is, how does Town USA adapt to picks and bans?
And here's the problem, because for me, it's not picks and bans. I mean, we saw Whalrus just tear it up on the tier, but that wasn't tier doing that.
That was Whalrus.
That was just Whalrus. What's your take on the tier versus Erlang Shen matchup?
Well, the thing was, the fact that Mexiety sit in the lane first, it allowed Whalrus to hit level 5, get that power spike that he really needed to, and then look for the pickoff. This was Whalrus just making the rotation, picking up Viper, cleaning up Mexiety with a perfect blink play. He also survived some ganks from Mexiety, let alone. We saw the Lawbringer away into the blink escape, so he was always in the right position at the right time immediately after that solo kill.
He's very crafty, he's very creative, he's gonna play differently every single time you take a look, and I like the way you said that. It wasn't tier. It was Whalrus that winds up making all those plays. If you give him a different character, I think we see the exact same performance. Sometimes you watch the game and say the Fearless was very important because of the displacement. Displacement wasn't a huge part in this game. It was just control, extra damage. If you give him Hercules, he wins the game, has the exact same stats.
I think after that Group B landmark, Maloney has just been absolutely on a tear. Ever since his performance, specifically against Luminosity's Scary D back then, he was just a totally different Maloney.
Yeah, I mean, he's just, like I said, I keep saying it, and I'm going to continue saying it. I'm sorry. Sorry, I'm not sorry. He is the absolute player to watch in 2017. It's the variety effect. 2015 variety, in my personal opinion, was...
Is this the era of the solo laners?
Yeah, just... 2015 variety, no reason to watch him play. 2016 variety, one of the top players in the entire league. It's just what happens when you're able to grind out, more importantly, You find a team and you're able to work in that environment. We saw glimpses of Whalrus sort of come into himself on that Noble squad. And as I said before, I mean, much love to Aduro and co, but that's not a team that's conducive to winning. They're just not going to be in that position. So Whalrus can do the best he can. Now, you're surrounded by Snoopy, Eonic, Hurriwind, Cynosure. Two of those guys are maybe question marks, but Eonic and Snoopy are as classic as anything else. That's a team that's conducive to winning.
Yeah, there was